performance.
Yes.
It wasn't the best of results. I mean, you're now under 10%. Mm-hmm. Do you think that part of the problem, I mean, I'm sure you've done your assessment by now of whether or not some of the things the EFF did or said were a result of that electoral performance. And I wonder if your approach in Parliament over the years was also a part of the problem in your view, because you did say after elections that our strategy is now going to change. You're not going to see us shouting and being kicked out of Parliament. We're going to no longer disrupt parliamentary meetings, but instead focus on playing a robust opposition. Do you think that also affected your performance?
No, that is what sustained the EFF. Mm. You can't introduce yourself like you have been here. You ought to introduce yourself in a manner that you will be felt that you have arrived. So you must learn the law of presence. So for the past 10 years, we're establishing the presence of the EFF in Parliament through the approach and through our regalia, which was a reflective of representation of the working class. We never lost support because of that. Because that behavior, if you check it, by the way, it was worse between 2014 and 2019. It was more robust and more radical and got us more vote in 2019. Why would it lose us vote in 2024? I'm just saying, my brother, we must not listen to people who have a mind of a rat, who can't think behind 10 years as to what happened previously and what's happening now. Then we get numbers in 2019, which we never expected. Boom, in KZN, 350,000 to the EFF. When we look at why did we get this result, it's because there are people who are angry with Cyril Ramaphosa in the ANC and who are fighting for Zuma, and they've got no home. That's why they ended up taking cover under the EFF. What the EFF failed to do was to take that opportunity and intensify political education and convert them into permanent supporters of the EFF. So the EFF lost no numbers to anything except losing numbers to that which never belonged to it. And EFF did not take effort to win it over. It just took it as obvious that these people are ours. Whereas when Marshall was giving us results in KZN in 2019, we were actually shocked. He says we passed 100,000. We passed 200. I said, don't play such games. He said, hey, man, we're coming this way. So we were shocked in 2019 by KZN performance the same way we're shocked now by KZN performance. No policy position. So let's take open borders. Why Mashaba did not get 10%? Because your measure of success, all of you, is 10%. That if you support an open border where there is African unity, you lose vote. Why didn't Mashaba get the votes? Why didn't the Lepantiti get the votes? Because he jumped there, almost fainted. Mabahambe, mabahambe. He got nothing close to 10%. Mashaba and Gaten Mabahangbe group combined still don't come close to the EFF.
But they're not as old as the EFF.
And they still did not get what the EFF got when the EFF was their age. Don't forget that. So you must compare those things. Yeah. Don't be ahistorical. The leadership of the EFF remains intact, although his departure was painful. But I got some sense of relief. I don't know why. It was as if I've put down some heavy load. So it's not always that bad things will always produce bad results. Perhaps at times they do produce very good results. So we're fine. We're rocking.
You're rocking. Is that as the EFF? What about you and him? Is there an opportunity?
No. I don't have anything to do with him.
No friendship anymore?
No. I don't. What brought us together was a common purpose. We met in the trenches. We didn't meet in a club. We didn't meet at church. We didn't fall into love with each other. at the university in the same class. What brought us together was sharing the common agenda for the revolution. And once we start seeing things together, differently, what brought together no longer exists, and there's no need for me to be having any kind of relationship.
Yeah. One of the things that I think, and I think a lot of people saw this when you addressed the press briefing with him when he was announcing that he's leaving. And a lot of people said, oh, you can just see how sad Julius is. We've never really seen him like that. And you guys were so collegial in the way you addressed this matter. You were very professional. You were very mature in how you handled it. And then a few days later, you addressed the ground forces, and I felt you were going hard on him, where you said you have been betrayed. What happened between that moment and the time when you addressed the ground forces? Because it seems like something happened, because then the messaging changed.
No. The messaging remained the same. There's a different posture you take when you're in a press conference, like when I'm talking to you now. And when I go to speak in a rally or in a political talk cannot be like some boring history lecture in a lecture room. My responsibility, amongst other things, is to agitate and to instill confidence on the ground forces and say to them, we're still rocking the boat, we're in charge, let's move forward. So there should be a difference between the press conference and the ground forces event. But there's nothing that really is different from what we said. I said to you then, and I might have said it in an emphatic manner at the ground forces rally. I said to you at the press conference that I wouldn't have expected that from a brother. And once I say that, a word for that is betrayal. So whether I put it in that way or this way, it's the same. But it's water under the bridge now. Nothing of us depend on his existence. No. We are doing much better now without him.
Yeah. One of the things you said at the press briefing was that this is not allowed even in the EFF constitution, but if he decides that he wants to come back to the EFF, you are going to make an exception for him. Is that offer still on the table? That
was a demonstration of me not having anything against him as a person. But the EFF has got a constitution. It has got its own membership. It has heard what I said, and it will decide at that moment if that moment presents itself. But I was simply saying, I've got nothing against this guy. I've not done anything to this guy. And even if he calls on me tomorrow, I'll show up, because I will not have some hangovers but this guy, when he left, this is what happened. No. And that's what I was saying. But we're all governed by the constitution of the EFF, which says if you leave the EFF, you are not allowed to come back. And the leadership of the EFF at a CCT meeting, one after another, they said to me, hey, my guy, we heard you, but not here.
So they said
no, not here. You can forgive each other there, but not here. The constitution of this organization applies. And I ought to respect that, because I've expressed my views, and the leadership said, hell no.